तिनक धिन धागे न 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 तिनक धिन. Every day I wake I make my mind up. I'ma be the one, be the truth, be the way. Yeah. Every day I wake I make my mind up. Gotta keep my mind on the because they only telling their side of the story. Out here telling lies like they on Morid. And poor rich kids get their money off on it. But down here in the hood, yeah, we know Forex. We growing up, yeah. We got the good of them assets, good of my bad. Get rid of cash before the whole market crash. A news flash, just a blast from the past. We on the smash, be prepared to hit the gas, yeah. Build a land, get the wealth, change your name up. Get the title in your hands, switch the game up. Melanation, elevation, arise. We the vibe.
Communities right now look the way they look because of us. My biggest thing for us right now as men is for us to understand that our communities right now look the way they look because of us. There's not one politician that we need to blame for the way our communities look. There's nobody that's going to help us fix our communities but ourselves. We are using politicians right now to cope with our inability to actually affect our own communities. Our communities are only going to be fixed by us. Joe Biden is not the reason that your community looks the way it looks. You are. And Trump is not going to come save our communities. We are. We have to fix our communities on our own. And I always say that every man should be responsible for at least one child that's not his. I believe if every man in this room were to go back to their communities and actually try and affect it, we'd actually make some changes in our areas. We'd actually make some changes for our country instead of blaming and giving money to politicians who keep promising the same old things over and over again, and we're expecting our communities to change.
Peace to the party. Hold on, let me get right, man. It's your homeboy back again with the news. Yeah, man, we got another special show for y'all. As you see in the title, got Lee Cummings pulling through, Matt coming. We're going to talk about the 13 colonies, get to these eyewitnesses, right? But leading up to that, you know how we do. We're going to hit a little bit of the current events. I'm going to hit y'all with some news real quick. And it's in line with what we're going to be talking about today. Because truthfully, in our country right now, whether you white, black, whatever your ideology is, as a whole, our American history, our knowledge of American history is lacking, bro. It just is what it is. And a good example of that is Project 2025. I don't know if any of y'all heard about it, but a couple of days ago, it was going crazy on my Facebook. So I still be in the hood, man. I still be on Facebook, right? I see people, they going crazy, talking about Trump finna use Project 2025 and he about to take us to the Hitler regime, all kind of crazy stuff. So, you know, I had to go do my research before I come bring it to the people, right? Now, the document 900 some pages long. So I didn't get to go all the way through it. I read about a quarter of it because I got sidetracked by going to investigate the people that was writing it, the actual foundation behind it, and a whole bunch of stuff like that. So knowing that we're going to talk about the 13 colonies, the establishment of America, and who these people were, we got to highlight civics real quick, right? So for those of y'all who don't know what Project 2025 is, it's basically a plan written by a large group of people. Over 100 different institutions and organizations were involved in helping write this. But I found somebody who give a great breakdown of some of the key points. So we're going to hit that real quick, and then I'm going to show y'all who behind it, and we're going to hit on a couple key points before we pass the mic on. So like we always do, we finna take it to the other side, see what's up, and then we're going to come chop it up.
Have you heard about Project 2025? Hey, it's Dan Zimmerman and welcome back to Illustrate to Educate. In this video, we'll dive into everything you need to know about Project 2025, including 5 criticisms. Remember, if you disagree with Project 2025 or its criticisms, please don't dislike the video, but instead respectfully comment your thoughts below. Project 2025, led by the Heritage Foundation, is a comprehensive initiative designed to prepare for a potential conservative administration starting in January 2025. It is structured around 4 main pillars: policy development, personnel recruitment, training, and strategic planning for the early days of the new administration. Here's a more detailed breakdown of each component. First, let's look at the policy agenda. The Conservative Promise is a detailed policy guide that provides specific recommendations for governing major federal agencies. The guide encompasses conservative solutions to various issues, including economic policies, healthcare, education, and national security. It is intended to serve as a blueprint for the next conservative administration, ensuring that key conservative values and strategies are implemented effectively from the outset. The second pillar is the personnel database. Project 2025 includes a comprehensive personnel database aimed at identifying and vetting potential appointees for various positions within the federal government. This database seeks to ensure that a future conservative administration has a pool of qualified, ideologically aligned individuals ready to fill key roles. The recruitment efforts span across different sectors and backgrounds, targeting experienced professionals who can execute the administration's agenda efficiently. The third part is the training through the Presidential Administration Academy. To prepare the identified personnel for their roles, Project 2025 has established the Presidential Administration Academy. This academy offers a range of training programs including workshops, seminars, online courses, and mentorship from former administration officials. The training is designed to equip future administrators with the necessary skills and knowledge to implement conservative policies effectively. Fourth is the 180-day playbook. The 180-day playbook is a strategic document outlining the immediate actions to be taken by the new administration within the first 180 days. This playbook is crafted to enable swift policy reversals and the implementation of conservative priorities, ensuring a smooth and impactful start. It includes specific actions for various departments and agencies, focusing on undoing the policies of the previous administration and setting the stage for long-term conservative governance. Now let's talk about the coalition and organizational structure. Project 2025 is supported by a coalition of over 100 conservative organizations, including think tanks, advocacy groups, and academic institutions. This broad coalition brings together diverse expertise and resources to support the project's goals. Notable participants include former officials from the Trump administration who contribute their experience and insights to the project. There are specific policy focus areas in Project 2025. Project 2025 proposes significant changes to federal policies on reproductive health. These include removing references to abortion from federal laws and regulations, reversing the approval of abortion pills, and defunding clinics that provide abortion or contraception services. The initiative also aims to reinstate the Comstock Act to ban mail-order abortions and reshape Medicaid to avoid funding reproductive health care services that include abortion. Another focus area is cultural and social issues. The project emphasizes the restoration of traditional family values and religious principles. This includes opposing policies perceived as supporting cultural Marxism and promoting a pro-life agenda. It advocates for policies that support the nuclear family, religious liberty, and traditional gender roles. There's also the leadership of Project 2025, which is directed by Paul Dans, a former chief of staff at the Office of Personnel Management during the Trump administration, with Spencer Sherteen serving as associate director. Both bring extensive experience from their previous roles in government, contributing to the strategic planning and execution of the project. So what are the criticisms of Project 2025? Project 2025 has sparked significant criticism from various sources.
Big time. So let's hear the criticism. We're going to chop it up.
Critics argue that the project embodies a comprehensive plan to centralize executive power, erode democratic norms, and enforce a far-right agenda on American governance and society. Let's take a look at 5 specific criticisms in more detail. First is the centralization of executive power. One major criticism is that Project 2025 seeks to expand presidential control over the federal bureaucracy. The plan includes reviving the Schedule F classification, which would allow the president to replace thousands of civil service employees with political appointees loyal to the administration. Critics argue this would undermine the nonpartisan nature of the civil service and politicize federal agencies, making them tools of the executive branch rather than independent entities. Second is the attack on democratic institutions. Critics highlight that Project 2025's blueprint includes proposals to dismantle or weaken key democratic institutions. This includes plans to defund the Department of Justice and dismantle the FBI and other agencies that could act as checks on presidential power. Such moves are seen as efforts to undermine the rule of law and enable the executive branch to operate with little oversight or accountability. Third, the project also faces criticism for its potential use of government power to target political opponents and critics. There are fears that it would enable the executive to pursue legal action against political adversaries and critical media outlets, drawing parallels to authoritarian regimes where dissent is suppressed through state mechanisms. The fourth criticism is the social and cultural agenda. Project 2025's policy agenda includes strong positions on social issues, promoting conservative values that critics argue could roll back rights and protections for various groups. The document outlines plans to restrict LGBTQ+ rights, enforce strict anti-abortion measures, and integrate Christian nationalist principles into government policy. This agenda has raised concerns about the erosion of civil liberties and the imposition of a particular religious and ideological framework on the entire nation. Lastly is the environmental and climate policy rollbacks. The project's stance on environmental regulations is contentious. It proposes significant rollbacks of climate policies, which critics argue would have detrimental effects on efforts to combat climate change and protect the environment.
All right, so let's chop it up now. You listen to the video, okay? You hear the basic foundation of what's being said. Now, scratch out the people that are writing it, because understand that the people that are writing this are not in power, right? This is not the ruling authority who is making this. This is not like the current administration. This is their plan. Now, this is a foundation that doesn't really have, well, I won't say they don't have ties to politics, because I'm about to show you they got a deep history in what they've been doing, but you got to always analyze the source, right? So this is just their ideas, this group of people on what they think. But if we just scratch away the whole conservative situation, because over here we autonomous, we not promoting Democrat or Republican, we promoting being informed, right? And because no matter who you vote for, somebody's going to be in charge in all of these different positions, and they're going to do things on somebody's behalf. And it need to be the ones who they taking the tax dollars from. But that's a whole nother story, right? So we talking civics, right? We talking about being informed. So we had to go look these people up, man. The Heritage Foundation. So let's go to the source of this and see let's hear from what people say about them, the history and how this all came to be. Because anytime you go into a current event, you got to go look at the history and what led up to what's going on, because it's always a backstory, man. It's always a backstory. So hold on, let me pull this up on screen 3. And we're gonna do a little reading real quick. Pull these folks up on the wiki and do a quick little breakdown. All right, so check it out. So Heritage Foundation, sometimes simply referred to as Heritage, is an activist American conservative think tank based in Washington, D.C., founded in 1973. It took a leading role in the conservative movement in the 1980s during the presidency of Ronald Reagan, whose policies were taken from Heritage Foundation studies, including its mandate for leadership. The Heritage Foundation has had significant influence in U.S. public policy making and has historically been ranked among the most influential public policy organization in the United States. In 2010, it founded a sister organization, Heritage Action, an influential activist force in conservative and Republican politics. They say in the early years, the Heritage Foundation was founded on February 16 of 73 during the Nixon administration by Paul Weyrich, Edwin Fulner, and Joseph Coors, buddy with the beer. So growing out of the new business activist movement inspired by the Powell Memorandum, discontent with Richard Nixon's embrace of the liberal consensus in the polemical, cautious nature of existing think tanks, Wayrick and Fulner sought to create a conservative version of the Brookings Institution that advanced conservative policies. In its early years, Coors was the Heritage Foundation's primary funding source. Wayrick was the foundation's first president. Later, under Wayrich's successor, Frank J. Walton, the Heritage Foundation began using direct mail fundraising, which contributed to the growth of its annual income, which reached $1 million in 1976. By 1981, the annual budget grew to $5.3 million. All right. So I want y'all to see something. So this is just, I had to go do my research with the party. We went and tried to roll these folks' sleeves up to see what the people that we just named, right? To show you what they had going on. But truthfully, it seems just like with the black story, right? The white story is not a one size fits all. You got different sides. You got different people with different sides in this whole fight, right? So now we're doing our research. It's more of the Anglo-Saxon type of situation, which is different from the Jewish community, right? It's really as if these two at odds. So a lot of times you see these smoke screens between Democrat and Republican, but you got people who are working in certain communities that's on both sides, putting out propaganda. And basically what I'm getting at is this is a think tank that already got ties in the political community. Next thing you know, they're attaching this to Trump as if Trump is saying, hey, I'm trying to come be a dictator, take all your rights away. People forget we did have Buddy as a president before. I want a so-called black person to come tell me what type of policies was put in place to hold us back when Trump was in office. Was he trying to take our rights away as black people? Like, come on, bro, let's keep it a buck. It ain't like before when he wasn't the president. We didn't have a sample size to judge him off of. So we not telling you to go either way, but it is suspicious they're trying to attach this to him when we already know some of the people in the Republican Party don't even rock with bro. Like they ain't rocking with the Teflon Don, bro. But here, what I want to show you is these folks that mess with both sides, Democrat and Republican. They was involved in the Clinton administration. They got George W. Bush. So anybody, basic politics, them two on the opposite sides. So why is they in this same supposed to be conservative group? Did they feel like Clinton was a conservative? So you got to always question and examine what's really going on, man. And for those of y'all, I put it in here. I put it in the chat. So for anybody coming to view this later or you here now, if you want to read it for yourself, it's here for you. Because on the website, I got to go. We just want to read the information, see what we're talking about. There are core tenets that they got in here that I agree with. I read about all the way down to the Department of Justice, right? But like I said, it's 900 pages, so it's a lot of different ones. But the key ones that I agree with right off the bat was the Department of Education. So I want to read this one to y'all real quick. We should have had Lee Cummings pulling up here in a few. And we're going to build on this for a second. Make it a little bit bigger for those coming in after. So this is the Department of Education. This is what they wrote about. Now, mind you, they had hundreds of people collaborate on this. People from all facets of life. You got some lawyers in here. You got people who, it's not just politicians. It's more than politicians, actually. But so I'm going to read this to you from the Department of Education. This is what they wrote about. They said the mission. Federal education policy should be limited, and ultimately the Federal Department of Education should be eliminated. When power is exercised, it should empower students and families, not government. In our pluralistic society, families and students should be free to choose from a diverse set of school options and learning environments that best fit their needs. Our post-secondary institutions should also reflect such diversity, with room for not only traditional liberal arts colleges and research universities, but also faith-based institutions, career schools, military academies, and lifelong learning programs. Elementary and secondary education policy should follow the path outlined by Milton Friedman in 1955, where education is publicly funded, but education decisions are made by families. Ultimately, every parent should have the option to direct his or her child's share of education funding through an education savings account, ESA, funded overwhelmingly by state and local taxpayers, which would empower parents to choose a set of education options that meet their child's unique needs. So just in this one alone, it started pointing out different things, how the budget has been mismanaged within these schools. They're already getting the tax dollars. So whether you agree with going to public school or private school, I'm sure you would agree that you want to have your own choice on where you send your kids. I mean, I would think that's just common sense. Like I say, remove the people behind it. If you just heard that message, if it was a black person that came and said that to you, would you listen to what's being said? That's all we're trying to get to. So over here, we just challenging y'all to be informed, man. Before you have an outrageous opinion and you just all in your feelings, at least read it for yourself and say, okay, this is why I disagree. Because you ain't got to agree. I don't agree with everything they got in there, but I can't sit here and lie and say I didn't read certain things that did make a lot of sense to me, bro. I'm just keeping it real. So this is why we got to get more involved with American history as a whole, because we're more in tune with the story than what we've been told as the black community. This is why we got Lee Cummings. We got Matt coming through. We're going to build on this today and talk about the 13 black colonies, right? And the eyewitnesses account to show you why we need to be more in tune with the American story, because it's really our story. You feel me? So with that being said, I'm finna hit us with a little commercial real quick. We got Lee Cummings then pulled up in the back. We got Mac here. So the next voices you hear will be the whole crew. But we're going to go to commercial real quick and we'll be right back.
Niggas, the top 5 lister, double S drifter, separate sipping, and you know I came with it if she cute with it.
Whenever I start to feel alone, I just play your voice loud.